Hi guys, welcome back. It's Kirsten and let's kick off this weekly vlog. So currently I am reading two books. One is an audiobook, which is The Perfect Child by Lucinda and I started listening to this simply because of a recommendation by Christina from Christina Campbell Books, who I'll of course have linked below, and she said this was one of her top books of 2020 and I really love Christina. I think she does an amazing job with her reviews of books. Honestly, if you haven't already been following her, you should definitely check her out. So whenever she says that she's had a thriller book that she's enjoyed, I tend to pick it up. She is starting to branch out to other genres, or is trying to this year. Is a bit like me with fantasy. I mainly read fantasy, but I try and branch out, and I definitely use Christina's recommendations to help me branch out that a little bit more, and she hasn't let me down yet. So when she said this was one of her favourite books of the year, I was like, I have to check this out. I saw it on Scribd, so I thought, why not? It is really good so far. We have 3 point of views and it's told in different ways. So we have one from each of the husband and wife. I think they're called the Bowers, and they are doctors and they work, I believe it's in A&E or it's connected to that, and one day this child comes in to the hospital. Now there are severe trigger warnings, so please go into this being aware of those, because even straight from the onset you have a lot of talk about child abuse straight away. The husband is the one that has to do the operation to fix the child's bones because they have been previously broken and healed incorrectly. So they are having to do this operation to help her, and as a result he ends up taking a shine to her. She grows very attached to him as well, and him and his wife talk about the possibility of being a foster home for her, and that's kind of where I'm at on that part of the book. It's very interesting having the 2 different perspectives on this. Then we also have a third perspective, which is a social care worker. Now that one is done in an interview format, and her perspective is taking place after the events that we are currently seeing from the husband and wife's perspective. I really like it. The audiobook's really good because you get 3 different narrators for each of the perspectives, and it is creepy and chilling. First of all, you feel absolutely distraught for what this child's gone through, but then there are other things that just make you think there's something going on here. So it is a really good book. I recommend it. However, be careful of all those trigger warnings. Oh, I totally forgot, I'm actually reading 3 books because I am still reading A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, and I'm not going to go into this in great detail because I've been talking about it in every vlog in January, because this is my January book club read and we're supposed to be reading 100 pages per week. And basically it's like a school for wizards that's trying to kill you but works out as keeping you safer than if you were to grow up as a wizard outside on your own. It's weird. The school is very complex and it can be a bit difficult to grasp, but I do like the character work in this. However, I have been struggling with the fact that I've only been able to read 100 pages per week, and I have found that has interrupted my enjoyment of it. So I really can't work out if I'm not connecting to the story because of the story itself, or whether it's because I keep having to put it back down. I'm not sure. I have 150 pages left. I do plan on getting it finished this week, but in all honesty that will probably be kept till the end of the week like it has every week, so I'm just not going to talk about it until I actually read some more of it. So the other book that I have been reading, and I picked it up yesterday and started reading it, and it's good, and that's Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix. Now I will admit I mainly got this book just because of the format and the layout of this, because it's done as like an IKEA catalogue. We are in this place that is called Orsk. Now Orsk is a rip-off of IKEA. It is just a cheaper, tackier version, but the layout of the shop is exactly like an IKEA shop. So if you've been inside one, they're all the same. It is exactly like that. So when Grady Hendrix is describing it, I can see it, because I mean it's just that classic IKEA layout, and this shop is definitely a rip-off of IKEA. It is so funny. So I'm halfway through. It's a really funny book. There is some great humour in here, but there is also some really good creepy vibes, which I wasn't really expecting, because I initially, like I said, picked it up because of the formatting, because I haven't seen a book like this before and I was intrigued. but I did think it was just going to be a funny, humorous book, that it wouldn't be anything major, and actually I've been pleasantly surprised at how creepy I am finding this. Now, disclaimer, I am a wimp. I am that person that hides when something scary comes on TV until all the spookiness has gone, and then I can like look again. And my partner does a very good job of telling me when I can look again, which he just finds hilarious. But I am that level of wuss, like very easily. So it could just be because I am such a wuss that I'm finding this more creepy than what it actually is. But I do still think there are some creepy points throughout this book, and like I said, I am loving the formatting of this book. So at the start of it you do get a full floor plan. So you also have like catalogue pages at the start of each chapter, and each of these furniture items have something that's going to happen in that chapter connecting with that furniture item, which I thought was really cool. But you also get pages like this. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying the formatting of this. It's a really easy read as well. Honestly, I'm reading this faster than I normally read because of how easy it's laid out, and the characters are really interesting as well. So it's definitely a humorous and creepy book that honestly I plan on finishing up tonight. I am enjoying it so gosh darn much. So I have 2 books on the go at the moment, both of them on the more creepy end, and I'm really enjoying it. It's been really fun. So that's it. That's the start of this weekly vlog. I hope you're all doing well, and yes, as always, I need to go to work. So I finished Horrorstor, and honestly this was a lot more gruesome than what I was expecting. There was some torture scenes in this, and yeah, that was unexpected. It was really good. I really liked the explanation of why it's haunted and everything that went along with that. I think it was really well done. It ended up coming out as 4 stars, and I would definitely be picking up some more Grady Hendrix work. I really enjoyed this. It was spooky and funny and gory, and it was just a good time, even though that doesn't make sense with people getting tortured, but it was a fun one, and it is a bit creepy, and I loved the formatting, and yeah, what can I say? It was a really good book, better than what I expected it to be, and I'm pleased I picked it up. And I do recommend it if you like horror books or you just like a funny creepy read. This is the one for it. It worked really well. Just do go into it. It is a bit gruesome in places. Okay, I say a bit, it's very gruesome in places, but I think that just adds to it and the whole story of it all. I'm still listening to The Perfect Child by Lucinda, and this is getting a little bit sinister and creepy because I really want to know what's happened, because we know something bad has happened. And that's why we have Piper, the social care worker, in an interview, and she's getting asked loads of questions about Christopher and Hannah, the foster parents of Janie, and it just makes me wonder what on earth has happened. And there's been a lot that's happened. Janie is a very troubled child, understandably, because of what she's been through, and the Bowers are just trying to help her and deal with her and give her a home and try and learn to recover. But yeah, there's just been some things that happen, and I'm just like, I really want to know what's going on with that. So I'm still really enjoying that. I've still got like 6 hours on that, but it is a good one, and once again thank you to Christina for bringing that to my attention. And then I've also started Moriarty by Anthony Horowitz, and again, this is something that I was expecting it might be a little bit funny, but I wasn't really expecting much out of it. But actually, it's not even funny, it's just got the Sherlock Holmes vibe, which is good. So this has taken place after Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty have fallen down the falls in Switzerland, and we are following an American detective that's come all the way to England to try and find out what's happened to Moriarty. So as soon as he gets to England, he then goes straight to Switzerland because he hears what has happened. And the reason why he's looking for him is because in America there was someone that's basically like Moriarty, but he was looking to make a connection with Moriarty and branch out so that instead of just being a terror in America, he can be a terror across pretty much the whole world. So this detective has come to find Moriarty, even though it's now just finding his body, and he also meets up with this British detective who has studied Sherlock Holmes and his ability to deduce things. So those two end up pairing up together to try and solve what's happening with America and the person that's come across to England to now potentially be taken over what Moriarty has left behind. So this is actually very good. I've only read the first 3 chapters, but it is really interesting. I was expecting, like I said, more of a humorous read, but actually this isn't. It is definitely reading more like a detective read, and I'm loving it. I really enjoy Sherlock Holmes books. Granted, I've actually only read Hound of the Baskervilles, but I do want to be getting the others because they're just amazing classics. I've loved loads of retellings that authors have done where they've taken the influence of Sherlock Holmes and either had him as a character within other stories, such as The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, or like this with Moriarty where it's taken place after Holmes has assumedly died. So I just love it, and I do want to get the original classics of it so I can read those as well. And yeah, this is just a fun time. It's much better than what I was expecting, and I'm curious to see where it goes. And I don't think any of us are surprised when I say I've not read any more of A Deadly Education. So Moriarty is the last official book on my monthly TBR, which I'm very pleased with, and I'll definitely be getting that finished up over the next couple of days. As a result, I've just kind of put Deadly Education on the back burner, and I'm at that point where I could easily DNF it because I'm just not that interested. I enjoy it while I'm reading it, but like I've said before, because I could only read 100 pages at a time for this book club, it just took... like I said, I don't know whether it's just because I haven't enjoyed the book, whether it's because I have to keep putting it down, I'm not sure. But I am at that point now where I'm not bothered how it ends, but I have been told the end is the best part, so I will pick it up, but like usual it will probably be on the Sunday or something. And as you saw, I have been doing a wee bit of artwork, which is the first time that I've taken to doing something in my sketchbook in almost a year. So a year ago I was doing a lot of artwork, I was really trying to build something out of it, but it was getting very stressful. I put myself under a lot of pressure, and so I changed. I got back into reading and started this booktube channel, which is a year in May, which is very impressive. But now I feel like I'm in that better mindset where I can go back and just enjoy it as my hobby again, but I'm not going to put myself under the pressure that I did because it was just not worth it. Anyway, as usual, I'm rambling. Maybe we should just change my channel name to The Rambling Nymph or something, because that is all I do in these videos. Anyway, yes, I have work, so I'm gonna go and I'll catch up with you soon. The Perfect Child. It was just a disturbing read, honestly. It was so disturbing. There was a couple of twists that I wasn't expecting, I will admit. I was quite surprised with where one of the characters, how that ended up with them. It was a good book in the sense that it was very disturbing. You had this very chilling atmosphere to it, and I was genuinely intrigued as to what was going to happen. However, I will say the main twist at the very end, I kind of already guessed, and I guessed it from quite early on, and the ending was just very abrupt. It just kind of came out of nowhere and I was a bit like, wait, what? I was like fully expecting to see their reactions to it, to see what would happen, but it just stopped. And looking at some of the reviews, that seems to be the biggest complaint, is the ending or lack of one. So I still need to put it through core pile. Honestly, I'll put the rating up here, but I will say it probably does miss off that 5-star mark because of that. Otherwise, it was a really good book. It was, like I said, very chilling, very disturbing, definitely a difficult read in places, but it was a very interesting, almost like a psychological thriller in a way, because there was just this presence of you don't know what's going to happen next. Then I haven't read any more of Deadly Education, but again, we're not surprised by this, though I only have 120 pages left of Moriarty, and I'm kind of stuck on this one because I'm enjoying it. I like the idea of it. As I said, we have a British inspector and he is basically a wannabe Sherlock Holmes. That's who he aspires to be like. Then we have the American detective, which very much reminds me of Watson, just without the medical experience. And we also have this American mob boss who is pretty much trying to be the new Moriarty, but a lot more bloody and honestly dangerous in a way. But there are times when there'll be certain pieces of evidence and then the American detective Chase is like, oh, I don't know, none of this makes any sense, and I'm like, really? It's so painfully obvious. I will say it is humorous in places, so I like it for that. I do like the mystery, I like what they're trying to do, what they're trying to find out and stop and everything, but at the same time some of it just feels too heavy-handed. Personally for me, I like a mystery where you're left guessing. You don't know what's going to happen, you don't know who's doing it, and you're trying to work everything out. And I like it because then when the big reveal happens, you realise all those little breadcrumbs that were placed. But I feel like this is too heavy-handed and none of it is surprising. Like when it happens, none of it surprises me, which isn't to say that I'm not enjoying it, because I am, but it's also not quite as good as what I hoped. So I am literally stuck in the middle about this book. I will be finishing it. It's a really easy read, I will give it that. So I am planning on finishing Moriarty, hopefully Deadly Education, because I want to be filming my January wrap up on the 1st of February because I'm off that day and I just want to get it all done. This week it has been good. It's been very interesting. I haven't read a fantasy book at all, especially because I haven't picked up Deadly Education, and it's been an interesting break out of the norm for me to be reading these thrillers, mysteries, a horror book. You know, it's genres that I just don't tend to dabble in, and I've enjoyed it. It's been a nice break from the norm for me, and like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised by 2 of the books. This one in the middle about, but overall it has been an enjoyable week. Do you ever do this? Do you ever have a bit of time where you just take a break from your usual genre and just try some different ones? This really wasn't intentional at all, but somehow just all the ones like the mystery and the horror that I had planned for this month just ended up being on the same week. But I guess I can't really complain because, like I said, it's been a nice break from what I normally read. That's about it really. I don't actually have anything else to say. I didn't do much yesterday. And yeah, that's it really. Okay, well I'm gonna go because I'm just gonna start repeating myself and nobody needs that, so I'll catch up with you in a bit. Hopefully we're finishing these 2 books. Last day of January. I have no idea where this month has gone. It has just flown by, and I have finished all the books that I wanted to finish up this month, so that's amazing. So Moriarty ended up coming out as 3 stars. I did initially like it, but I just found that, like I said, some of the clues and things that were there were just so painfully obvious that I really didn't like it. And I have to admit, the end of this book was a good twist. I think it really added to it, and I think if this book had just been a little bit shorter, a bit quicker to get to the point, I would have really enjoyed that, and it possibly could have got 4 stars, because that twist was really, really well done. It made it so clear as to why everything was so painfully obvious throughout this book, and it was very clever. But my gripe with it is that I had to get through 320 pages of that first, and to then have that payout in the last 2 chapters. And it's just a bit of a shame. It had so much potential, but for me it just fell flat. Once I got to about 200 page mark, I was like, I'm just so bored. Like, it's just the same thing that's happening. Yeah, 3 stars for this one. And then I did actually finish Deadly Education. Now, I for some reason thought I had like 150 pages left, but actually when I picked this up I had like 50. So I don't even know what happened there. I think I just thought that this was a 400 page book, and it isn't. It's 300 pages. So I don't know why I assumed it was 400 pages. I have no idea what happened there. And I didn't even think about it when I was looking at where my bookmark was about how few pages I actually had left. Anyway, this last 50 pages, it was interesting, but I stand by what I said about the school. It's just too confusing for me. And I think, again, I would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't constantly putting it down, because I was trying to do this for the book club read. But for me, I loved the characters. I really enjoyed the characters, but the actual setting just didn't make sense to me. And that was such a shame, because it just felt like, again, a lot of potential, but not quite enough for me to give it anything more than a 3 stars, especially with how I was reading it. Potentially if I just read it in just a couple of sittings like I normally do, I would have preferred it rather than taking weeks to read this. But again, I don't know. I think I will probably get the second book, because I am interested in the characters, and I am a character driven reader, and hopefully just the school setting will make a bit more sense now that I have an understanding of sort of what's happening in this school. But yeah, again, 3 stars. I think that's more because I kept putting it down. It could potentially have been 4 stars, but we'll see. And yeah, so that is what I've managed to finish up, which is great. I'm really pleased I actually got all of this done. Honestly, it's been, like I said, a very interesting reading week, with having a week outside of my genre apart from the last 50 pages of A Deadly Education. So it's been really enjoyable, but I am very much looking forward to my February TBR and just getting cracking with that. And yeah, that's it. I hope you've all had a lovely week, and yeah, I will catch you in the next one. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it that little thumbs up and subscribe. Social media links, as always, are linked below, and like I said, I will catch you in the next one.